excited to do your guys' lifespan here. We should definitely see a lot of beginnings as opposed to some endings with, like with Aquarius, we saw some 9 and 10. Um, the world, yeah, so it's more about bringing things to fruition. Oh boy. Okay, so I got the Tower. I'm not really sure if this is reversed or not, but this is the first card that just presented itself. The Tower is really um, breaking you down so you can build back up again. Very big transformation. Maybe this means that in your lives, you will really see a lot of big change. You're going to get to the height of your power. You're going to get to the throne that you want to, and then things will take a turn. You're going to realize that what you have isn't what you need, maybe, and that the universe is going to kind of break you back down so you can kind of rebirth again. So this is, it's a really tumultuous card. A lot of people get scared when they see the Tower, and it is scary. It's very scary to be in a position like that where everything, like you're wearing a crown, you're with your queen or your king or whatever, and you feel like you've obtained a lot or you've gotten to that height. And so this is like an outside force that just comes in and just rips it all to pieces, that kind of tears it down. And so this could be like you feel like you really don't have control over your future or where things head for you, that you're always kind of falling. You're always falling back down for some reason. And I think with the Aries resilience, they'll always be able to pick themselves back up. They're self-starters for a reason. So this probably isn't as scary for you guys as maybe most of the other signs would be, because you guys have that kind of that innate ability to just start again, to just keep going. We don't give up when we see Aries. Not to say that you guys don't need help along the way, because we certainly do see some demand for help, some cries out for help, some attention, but there's some maybe natural yeah, I don't know, because it's not natural destructive tendencies, because the Tower is more about the universe destroying what's already there, to see if maybe you can get back to where you were, or to find yourself in a new way. Yeah. And it really hits the head too. You see that crown is huge. So, a lot of Aries have head problems like headaches, or they could have, mental disorders or depression, things like that. You'll see with them, but it's because not that they're not intellectual, but that's just, they're hard-headed. They go for it full steam ahead, and so the body's naturally going to have a reaction for always having that kind of tenacity. There's going to be some other way to kind of a response basically for that. So when you think of a ram butting the side of a building, obviously that's got to hurt, but they do it anyways. So interesting card to get first. 10, 16. Okay. So we also have this card. So this is the Eight of Cups. This is really, moving away. This really can kind of go hand in hand if we look at the Tower card, because it's being forced in a position where you have to leave or travel in a new direction. When we see it's reversed, it's a very hard journey. It's not easy going it alone. Even though I think Aries does strive for independence, at some point they're going to need someone else to step in and help them in some way. That's kind of the need of a child. And so when it comes to your emotions, they do say that Aries have to almost like detach themselves to understand their emotions or to experience them. Um, and I have a lot of Aries around me in my life, and I guess that's true in some way. Um, it's because in the moments they don't really know how to. They're so like with those fire signs, they're so giving of their energy and stuff with other people. It's like they almost can't feel fully themselves when they're in that mindset. It's because they're doing things like in terms of the group and like who's around them, and so they do have to go to a solitary place to where they can kind of find their emotions and explore that, because that's not something that's easy for a child to do. It's almost like going into timeout, and a lot of kids will cry when they do that, like younger kids, because it's like punishment. So maybe you feel like emotion is very punishing for you. Maybe you give it that power, but there's a need here to like have hard goodbyes, is to leave things behind. Maybe you're running away in the nighttime a lot. Aries, as the starters, they do not finish, so it's more about beginning things, and here it's almost like moving on to the next thing. Um, Kind of what it almost like entails, but it's never easy. Oh, okay. So we also get it with this. So the Six of Wands, fire. So this is victory. This is success. This is those insights that you bring home for others. This is that growth and expansion. So we see this like youthful person that kind of has victory surrounding him. And obviously, you have to achieve victory to get to that position in the tower, to then be struck down, to wear that crown, to get to the height of your power and achievement. So Aries always comes first. So in competition and things and sports and things, they're really, along with Sagittarius, going to look to be the victors, or they have a tendency to dominate. Just like a child. When they whine and they scream and they're the loudest thing around, everybody's looking. They've drawn as much attention as they can. That's really what this emulates. But this is also a card to where they're going to bestow their newfound growth and knowledge onto others. Okay, this is bringing back home that trophy for the whole town to share. So that can mean that they can be altruistic in a sense, the like less selfish Aries. They will find a lot of joy in giving back, or at least being in a position to where they're looked up um, to give their insights or their experiences. So, but this is definitely like a victorious card. So there's growth and victory, or even the challenge. Wand is a spiritual journey, and so they have to constantly find themselves again and again to be able to grow. So, but it's just for them, it just seems like it's more of an isolating process, that they have to get away from people in the world to do that. Aries. Okay. Interesting. Let me keep going. Okay. So, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So we're being sent on a mission here, in search of material wealth, a new job. So the career can really have um, our true sense of purpose attached to it. This is a very It's like the horse is unknown. He's in the black. He's not sure of where he's going, but we're following the prospect of what a new day brings financially. We're trying to find where the money is going to be for us, and so that's their big quest is finding financial security, finding abundance internally. Where can we find that? So, we have one here. There's one pinnacle associated with the night. So we're kind of using that as a beacon to kind of hopefully attract more. So we've got that. We're reaching out to things. We're going in a new direction, um, and so we can kind of come home victorious. We're going out in search of something. So I think that's very true for an Aries is they don't always know what they're looking for, but they're always looking for something. They're very curious signs, very curious, just like the child. And I don't mean that to condescend to Aries out there. I don't mean that they are childish, like immature. I just think that the way that they are coming first, a lot of youthful attributes are associated with that sign, and so you can look at a lot of the sign symbolism. There's always archetypes for all the signs, and the child is one of some for the Aries, and it's just the most relatable almost. But I don't mean to say that every Aries out there is extremely immature, extremely demanding. You'll find variations of that, but those are kind of some of the aspects that will come up again and again for them because that's their association. So this can kind of represent a lot of career prospects. Like maybe lots of job change. You're always looking to find the perfect fit job-wise, but you never really know what you're looking for in the career field. But you do have a sense of purpose for sure. That you have a higher calling, and you're just going out and trying to find that. And it's almost like the mission itself or the adventure itself is more rewarding than what you're actually going to get to. So it's the things that you come across or find on the way that can be more telling of who you are and your, what your truth is, your path. Okay? And that's going to lead to a lot of decisions. So judgment cards. So these are huge moral decisions that can even be on display for the whole world to see. So when you guys do pick a direction or you pick a choice, you really make it known. It's very clear. There's no kind of doubt from others of where you have positioned yourself, what side you're leaning on. So this could be somebody that's very, very not indecisive, but very decisive. They're not decisive, but they do with that fire energy. They always are leaning on one other side. It's like a fire has picked a side. That's kind of one of the ways that they can shine for others and to kind of attract others to their side is because they feel very firm and strongly for one thing. And so you guys are constantly going to be in positions where you're going to have to make huge decisions in your life, and that can be very overwhelming for an Aries, that wants freedom and is very rebellious and doesn't want to have to choose things or be an adult in a sense. They always want to play. So they don't really want to have to be serious at the end of the day. That can be more taxing for them to have to make hard decisions for themselves, and even for others. But it definitely shows the magnitude of some of your decisions. So if you go wrong, you can really go wrong with this. But it does show face up. So I think ultimately you guys have great instincts and intuition, and you're very perceptive of like, if you didn't have that, you would be like so poorly off. But luckily, you do have that strong intuition. I think that normally leads you in the right direction. So that's what it's kind of speaking to. But it could also mean that when it comes to making decisions, you really would rather just the universe to kind of like take its play. Maybe that's why you have the Tower card, is because you get to a point where you aren't, you just aren't ready, or you just don't want to. You don't want to make a decision. Um, so we did get the Emperor card. He did come reversed, and so I think it's, when it comes to being tenacious, being hard, and just going forward. Like you see that sometimes it can be a detriment to others and to yourself. So maybe you're even aware of like how aggressive you can be, how demanding you can be, and how combative you can be. Um, and maybe you see that it can do harm to others and to yourself. But ultimately, this emperor has conquered. He's done well for himself. He's won the battle. He's in a position of power, but he's always ready for another attack. He's already got the armor on underneath all of his drapings and things. So he looks possibly relaxed, but he looks very, with the stone and everything, he looks very intimidating. And so I think that's really showing, all of your sign. Like, look at the red and the orange in the background. That's really the only card you see those colors with, is because of that flare, that anger, or whatever that is that kind of riles you up. Um, yeah, so maybe even the Aries, maybe even have a lot of Aries in your life, even though you are an Aries. But there's always going to be a challenge for you. There's always some sort of struggle in your life. Um, there's always something for you to conquer. So you just have to be careful not to take too much on. You can't do all the things and still be yourself fully, or still making the right decisions. It's clouding your judgment. It's clouding your vision. As we see here, the person can't even see because he's so weighed down. So, victory for victory's sake isn't good, isn't healthy. So it's not about having as much as possible. It's really seeing what's essential and kind of keeping yourself um, at a level to where you can be free and stuff. So it's almost like they have a tendency to um, put too much on their plates, or try to tackle too much, and so their energy is diverted. It's not as strong. And so maybe that's why we got it reversed, is because even though this represents Aries, maybe for Aries themselves, they feel like they can't always utilize that in the way that they want to. Um, and maybe it just doesn't come easily, or when they would hope for it. Maybe it just comes out in different ways that other people can see. But here it's the burden card. So hopefully you don't feel like you're a burden to others. I mean, certainly some Aries out there can be extremely demanding and put a lot on people because they're so aggressive, but I think this is more so about you taking on more than you can handle. So you have to back down from some fights. You have to pick your battles wisely. You have to choose your battles wisely, and that's something I always tell others about Aries and dealing with them, is like, you can't always engage with them, is because sometimes they just don't know when to quit. They're always going to step up to that plate, and that's not always a good thing to do. And obviously, it can weigh you guys down. Kind of that responsibility that you feel that you should never back down. There's always a time and place for things, and so sometimes it's better to wait things out for the right moment. And we have that call for judgment, and so it's finding that right time to do it. But yeah, bringing stress home is kind of with you wherever you go. Maybe you feel like you have that sense of purpose in your life, or um, those big decisions you have to make are just so overwhelming for you guys, and it's never just one, it's a bunch. Oh, interesting. Okay. Um, so I'm not really sure if this was upright or reverse, sorry. But we have the Ten of Pentacles. So if we can amass the material abundance, we can really feel wealthy and enjoy things. This is like the family life too. Um, we see all of it, the family, the kid, the dogs, the elder. This is really appreciating all of life. And I think that speaks to some of the youth and vigor that they have, is kind of that spontaneity, that they can kind of do anything at a moment's notice. It is because they feel rich within, because they feel wealthy, or that things are possible. It's just like that Sagittarius. That's why they're always so extroverted, even though they're very isolating individuals, that they're always going on a path alone, but they can be so energizing with the people that they interact with, because they they tell themselves that there's always possibility, there's always abundance, there's always something. The grass is always greener somewhere. So we see that, and then we got strength, fire, so that's Leo, so that's having internal strength and courage. So we definitely see that with Aries. That don't back down energy. But it's taming the lion. So again, it's going back to, we need a filter when we're talking about Aries. We have to pick the right way to say something. We have to choose our battles wisely. We have to find that right moment to act. You can't just always do it all the time. You can't. You can't do it all the time, because you're just going to overwhelm yourself. And when you're called upon to do something, you're not going to feel like you can, because you can't discern between um, what it is you need, and in the moment, um, saying what needs to be said. Almost, it's like you just won't back down. So and then here with the Three of Pentacles, we're always working towards something. That's with the Knight of Pentacles too. So work, and that's a really big factor for you guys. So it's a necessary need for you guys to put your energy into something productive, because you guys have so much energy. And this can definitely talk about creative pursuits, so we can find some creative hobbies here. You're building something for others to see, whether it's in the art world, or it's just some new thing, some path, some maybe even business. Um, but it's to be looked on, it's to be garnered, so you can kind of maintain that strength in that emperor position. Um, so you're always working towards something, so that's good to see. So you'll never fully give up. You'll never fully, you know what I mean? You just start again and again. It's a cycle. Um, but it's some big stuff for kids. It's like strength, judgment, the tower. There's victory. There's burden. There's yeah. There's a lot here. So, but it's really some powerful stuff. So I'm going to leave it for there for Aries.